VR games are, and kind of always have been, in a weird place. The high bar to entry that is owning a dedicated headset, whether that's on the lower, higher, or absolutely unreasonable end of the pricing spectrum, means making games for the medium costs more money and has a smaller base. This means that most games that actually end up going beyond a couple hours of goofy tech demo shenanigans are financed by the actual companies that sell the headset. It's a rare occasion that an independent game will come along that is more than just a few fun ideas wrapped up in a couple hours of gameplay. So believe me when I tell you that Underdogs is the real deal.
No way that you can hide from the best. I'm a mess, I body anything to take a breath. On my left is a polyp body bigger than myself, and on my right is 100 scared souls scream at hell. And
you ever get that Amagara fault moment with a game where every subsequent genre descriptor makes it feel more and more like it's made for you specifically? Underdogs is a VR, mecha, boxing, roguelike with a bit of time management and visual novel stuff on the side. And the crazy thing is, they make it all work. You play as Riggs, a dude who's very good at his job of piloting a giant gorilla mech, affectionately called the Rilla. You've also got your guy in the chair, Riggs' little brother King, the single-voiced character in the game, so it's a good thing that the VA really nails the delivery, whether it's warning you about enemies on your flank, the activation of stage hazards, or screaming in pain from the mega computer virus in his head that's slowly devouring his psyche. Yeah, so the reason you're here in the Robo Fight Pits is to get access to the giant floating mega city up above in order to save your little bro's life. The story itself is not really anything to write home about, but the presentation is really nice. And that's what's most important to a roguelike, where you'll be running through the game multiple times. But you're not here for the story. No, you're here to right-hook car-sized robot dogs into a giant grinder halfway across the room. Combat is, at a base level, very simple. Your own arm movements are mirrored by the 12-foot-long limbs of your mech. This allows you to throw straights, hooks, and the occasional hammer fist if you're feeling spicy. You can also locomote your mech with your arms by holding a button down and sliding across the arena. Slamming your face into an enemy will perform a bash, which does good damage but comes with certain difficulties. This game does prompt you to perform some incredibly monitor-shattering movements, but it balances that out by aggressively keeping you in the center of your play space at all times. In all my time playing, my controllers had no tragic collisions with my desk, which is more than I can say for other games.
Can you hit me? Huh?
Oh my god.
Look at him, he can't even hit me.
Dude, bro, you made me hit my desk. Over the course of the game, you can acquire different upgrades and parts for your mech. These can fit into different archetypes and functions, like new weapons, armor pieces, and add-ons that can influence an entire build. For example, a pretty common weapon to get early on are the fingers, which replace your standard wrecking ball hands with an apparatus that makes for easy grabbing and throwing of enemies, but it does less damage with regular punches. You could then also look out for upgrades that increase throwing power, or maybe increase the auto-aim of your thrown objects. There's also a huge variety of items to unlock and mess around with, so you get that certified roguelike satisfaction of putting together a different, uniquely insane build each run. The way health works in this game is neat, and by that I mean every single time you take damage, a little piece of your soul will die. Your two arms and the bubble shield protecting your squishy human body all have their own individual health bars. You can live without one arm, but if your bubble drops, you not only enter insta-kill territory, but you also lose your HUD. So while you can recover, it's unlikely. You can also die by losing both your arms, which is just embarrassing. Repairing your gear comes in the second half of gameplay. While you spend your nights duking it out for fortune and glory, in the daytime you have to prowl the city to try and prep for the next fight. This can include your only option for repairs being an absolute dumbass who's just as likely to brick your mech as he is to actually fix it. Your winnings can also be spent on upgrades for the Rilla. Better weapons, arms, upgrades, you name it. It might even be a better idea to forgo repairs on the arm altogether and just buy a completely new one. You can also just say, fuck it, we ball, and click the looking for trouble option, which can either reward you with free goodies, let you gamble for even more free goodies, or get your mech bashed in by vandals. Just remember that all gamblers quit before they hit the jackpot. After you hit that jackpot and attain infinite money, what you can buy depends on your contacts. There's somewhere near 30 unique NPCs in the game that you can interact with during the daytime. These can include more competent mechanics, vendors for weapons and upgrades, and some more niche options like people who sell minions for your fights. These NPCs can also be the patrons for your nightly fights, where they'll impose a certain restriction on you in exchange for rewards that fit a specific archetype. These challenges range from barely noticeable to requiring constant attention to Super Thumper, my absolutely beloathed. But you'll want to stick with some regulars, because getting in good with them will get you better prices and better rewards for your fights. You could also get gear for the best price. All you gotta do is win a simple dice roll and... ah, shit. Getting caught while stealing, selling someone out for profit, or anything else widely considered to be a dick move, bruv, will burn a contact for the rest of your run. After they're burned, you can't talk to them, you can't fight for them. You're done. If you haven't picked it up passively while watching so far, this game is absolutely beautiful. From the grungy neon 3D mech pits to the stylized layered 2D character art and contacts and cutscenes, we are at the absolute opposite end of the spectrum of those Steam games that use the exact same low poly asset pack. Like, look at this. This cutscene blocks out most of the screen and reveals it over time, but you can actually peer around the foreground layer to see more of the scene. What I'm trying to say here is, it really makes you feel like Comic Zone. All these elements come together to create a truly unique experience. Success in Underdog sits somewhere at the crossroads of creative build crafting, as well as your own physical fighting ability. I personally have played a bit of VR boxing before.
I'm going in!
I collapsed on my floor. What the fuck was that?
Twitch.tv/Satchmo_. This has given me a decent understanding of how to at least throw a punch in VR without throwing out my back or breaking my things. This allowed me to construct the ultimate Gooner build, where my Rilla's right arm was as decked out as possible with power, strength, and electrical damage, allowing my hammer fist to come down with the might of Zeus. However, I had other builds much more reliant on the items I found, like one that focused on grabbing and throwing, or the nail gun, which is really more of a pile bunker that you activate by just absolutely decking some dude in the face. I think Underdogs will appeal to most anyone who owns a VR headset, but those who would get the absolute most out of it are folks looking for a replayable roguelike experience, as well as a game that can provide a good deal of exercise. Just please make sure to do your proper stretches before stepping into the Dempsey roll machine. Your arms and back will thank you. Underdogs, as it is now, is easily my favorite VR game, and I think it stands as an absolute win for the medium, and an example of the unique possibilities that are available to VR that we might see more of in the future. Speaking of the future though, this game has a roadmap. Even though it's feature complete and out of early access, the devs still want to add free content to the game for a good deal of time in the future, and I respect that. The scale of planned content ramps up as we get further and further out, starting with a sandbox mode and balance changes to patches that promise new weapons, enemies, and the alternate route, baby! We're a real roguelike now!